Hi folks, it's Switchback. I am at Lake Michigan, but my story is about what happened in Lake Tahoe. This is very much a video that I did not plan to make, but I think it is a really important one. First, I want to thank Sue and Patty who provided me their footage in addition to my own, and for them allowing me to use this to help educate. I have created other videos about camping in bear country, and I'm going to link that right up here for you. But I really think that showing firsthand accounts and real life encounters can educate even more than talking about it hypothetically. When I talk about bears and bear country, my personal frame of reference is usually going to be Tahoe and the Sierra, which is where I spend most of my time hiking and backpacking, well, at least when I'm not at home. And bears there are notoriously not afraid of people. Many people go there not really understanding how the bears behave there, or they don't believe the warnings, or they miss them entirely. And I admit I have been that person. And even experienced people in the area can underestimate bear behaviors. Bear behaviors in one park versus another, completely different. And so this is where doing your research in advance, even if you've been to that place before, one year there may not be a trouble bear, the next year there is. Story time. So recently, Mountain Goat and I went camping with a friend at Sugar Pine Point State Park, which is on the California side of Lake Tahoe. The first night we could hear car alarms, air horns, people yelling, dogs barking, people hitting pots and pans. Thankfully, in another loop of the campground. This lasted for probably an hour or so. You could tell that the bear was kind of going back and forth in different places. Then around 1:30 in the morning, Mountain Goat was coming back from the restroom, and she could see a mama bear and a cub in our campsite. And thankfully, they didn't get anything. We had everything locked down and in the bear box. But of course she yelled, and I immediately got up, and I had, we both keep pots and pans outside of our tent doors. And so I immediately got up and started hitting mine together, and the bears were about 15 feet outside of my door, and they continued to walk, and they left our campsite. Then shortly thereafter, we could hear them a couple of campsites over. We could hear people yelling and banging and doing all the things. We could hear them kind of going down. Thankfully, that was the last of them for that night. The following night, we did not hear them at all, but I woke up to our next door neighbor, Patty, banging and yelling at a bear that was in their sight.
Yeah. Just leave him alone, maybe? Go to the food. Oh, nice. Oh, Patty, be careful.
Yeah. So I immediately got up and stood outside of my door, and I could see the bear in her sight, so I started filming. Shit. Yeah. That's Mom. Yeah, there's Mama. We'll see. Oh. Get out! Go! Go! Baby is right here. Go, 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 go! Keep going, baby. Go, go, go. Go! They've got the neighbor's bag, not ours.
And we're even up.
Yeah. It's.
Took it right off the table?
She had it on top of her bear box, and it was literally like she was right in front of her bear box trying to get.
Oh,
yeah.
You probably won't get it back, huh?
Nah, not likely. After the bears ran off, Mountain Goat and Patty went to try to follow Mama to get the bag back, but of course, that didn't go great. Mama started bluff charging them, so they promptly left and let her do her thing. So we watched these bears eating their food, and then eventually they finally left. Patty went back and got, the food packaging and the bag back. instead of leaving it all there. That evening around 7, we saw Mama coming in from the woods and going into campsites, sniffing in bear boxes, and approaching people, like alarmingly close to people, even if they were being loud and doing the right things in their campsites. I know, I was like, I don't know if this is the same bear, because the bear doesn't have a cub. Yeah. It's a skinnier looking bear. And a little lighter colored.
I felt like he was darker.
Oh, white chest on this one. Honk your horn! Honk your car horn! Honk your horn!
He's wandering off.
No, not really.
So that's a different one, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
That's not the same one. There's no color. And Mom, I think the mom is behind the tree. I saw the cub move.
Oh, I see the cub. Yeah. They're.
Barking.
I s-
You know, when
There they are moving.
yeah, when you hear it like that, you know that's what it was.
Yeah.
See, there he is walking.
See, 3 of them?
Hey, close your door.
Safety in numbers, let's
Well,
Close your door, the bear's coming.
your campsite?
yeah, it's right over here. Went to the bear box, stole just pulled out a bag.
Were you here like 2 nights ago?
Oh, he's been here every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah.
Get out, bear! Go! You're welcome.
We heard that they don't care about all that.
Oh, this is the bear.
Yeah, they're too used to it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's tagged.
Yeah.
That means he's been in trouble at the principal's office before.
Go on. Get out of here.
He's just like slowly going through.
Go on.
I know you're supposed to bang pots together. We've heard that all summer.
Yeah.
I wonder if, I've seen people scare animals with an umbrella. You open it and close
Yeah.
it. You open it and close it real fast, and they go, oh my God, what is that?
Is he going into their campsite? Yeah, because their dog's still out.
Their dogs are still
Yeah.
out?
They genuinely don't care if you're in your campsite.
No, I know they don't, but
Yeah.
what are they going to end up doing to the dog? Yeah, they smell all the stuff cooking is what I think. Yeah, that's what I said to my husband. I go, watch, we're all cooking dinner. Ooh, I sauteed bell peppers and onions.
bear's not afraid.
Okay, I made chicken kebabs with bell peppers and onions. They love bell peppers. And...
The bear.
Yeah. That was us.
Yeah, we closed it. Because he was
Where's that
headed right
tonight?
to your door. He was heading right for your door. I was like, oh shit!
There he goes. There he goes. Oh, he just did something. He's wandering over.
We were just finished eating and I heard all the noises.
Oh yeah.
It's a tin can.
Yeah. I know. We were like, it's a good thing we ate out tonight. Ultimately, she was unsuccessful on this particular hunt and returned to her cub. Now, there are a lot of lessons to be learned from this footage. First of all, Sue and Patty frequent this area a lot. They have seen bears in this park, but never had an experience like this before. And it's easy to get complacent and even underestimate how these bears can behave. And again, it can vary from one season to the next. And especially now that bears are in hyperphagia, we're going into fall, they're even more food aggressive. Know before you go. Do the research on the area to which you are headed. This goes well beyond bears. For example, in Sequoia National Park, at one of the trailheads, it is recommended that you tarp your vehicle because marmots will get in there. Animal behaviors will really vary from one area to the next. And if there are trouble animals, then there will usually be information readily available on a website. But if you're unsure, you can always call in advance and call the ranger station or whatever the numbers are that are on the website and ask, what do I need to know about animal behaviors in this area? And the same can even be said for insects. We're headed to Pictured Rocks, and there are black flies there. We did some research on their website about what to do to prevent issues with those. But going back to bears, you know, in some places it's recommended that you store your food in your car. In the Sierra and Tahoe, that is a fatal mistake. So this is where learning specific behaviors for where you're going is so important. These are also bears that are not spooked by the usual yelling and pots and pans and all of that. And so it is recommended that you use air horns, your car alarm, your car horn, because they're just so used to, okay, big scary human with your pot and pan, what are you gonna do? Pay attention to any information at the kiosk when you're arriving and to any information that's on the website when you are booking, whether it's for a campsite or a backcountry permit. Usually there will be, you know, if you're required, for example, for a backcountry permit, if you're required to carry a bear canister, it will be on that website right there when you're booking. When we arrived at Sugar Pine Point, there wasn't anyone at the kiosk, but there were signs all over the kiosk about the bears, you know, bear counts for each day. And there were signs all over the campground, in the bathrooms, in the bear boxes, really trying to make it clear, don't mess around with the bears. Keep everything put away, because the bears will absolutely enter your campsite, even if you're in it. Err on the side of caution, and you can always ask questions when you get there. If you can't do that research ahead of time, or you're unsure that that information that you got was incorrect, you can ask the ranger, the camp host, the person at the kiosk, what are the recommendations here? What do I need to know? Again, there will also usually be posted signs. Keep all smellables properly stowed. And that includes something like chapstick, ketchup packets, even canned foods that are sealed, anything like that. It's all something that bears can smell. If you do have food out because you need to eat too, then be prepared to pick it up and carry it with you if a bear does enter your site. Now, to be fair, and I'm not trying to use scare tactics here, but bears in most places are not going to behave as aggressively or as brazen as the bears do in Tahoe. But it is still an important lesson. And bears, frankly, are getting less and less afraid, especially as they get more successful food rewards. A fed bear is a dead bear. These bears end up with health issues from eating human food. They stop hunting and gathering and doing all their normal food behaviors because it is simply easier to just go get a big old cache of food from a human being rather than picking individual berries. And bears that become too comfortable with humans or even become aggressive with humans end up getting put down, or they get relocated, which does not go very well. Be cognizant of the time of year. So in the fall, for example, bears will be in hyperphagia, which means that they're gearing up for the winter. So they'll be that much more food aggressive. And in areas like Tahoe, where the bears have learned how to get food from humans, they're less likely to hibernate because food is available for them year round. And it's important to note that hibernation does not mean that they are completely away for the entire winter. They still come out and go to the bathroom and eat periodically throughout the winter. We have actually run into a bear in Yosemite on New Year's Day before. Thankfully, black bears really don't want anything to do with humans, and they are strictly after our food. It is extremely rare for them to get aggressive with people. Of course, when you see a mama and her cub, get a little extra nervous, because when they split this way and baby was over here and mama was over here, I was like, oh crap, baby go. The bottom line here is pay attention to the rules and regulations and the recommendations for where you're headed. They're there for a reason, and that includes your protection. And if you are thinking about going camping or backpacking or hiking in bear country, then you will benefit from this video right up here. Be sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss anything, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.